we've obviously talked about De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis and the importance of those two, the importance of defense and Mike Brown. But what's the X factor for this squad? Like, what's the thing where it's like, if this, obviously we need De'Aaron to be elite. Mm-hmm. We need Sabonis to be elite. But if this thing hits, boy, his team could be legit. Better than that 40 wins we were praying for outside of the Chase Center during the summer.
I'll go outside I don't want to call it generic, but the obvious answer of if they're top 15 defensive team. I'll go outside of that. If they are, if they shoot the way they shot the other night, that changes everything.
Yeah. If that's exactly the direction I was thinking too. Like if they're a dangerous 3-point team to the tune of 8, 21 felt like a lot. But if they're hitting 18 to 20 shots, if they're shooting in the vicinity of 40% to 40+% every night.
Man. Well, where's Will Z? I see him in the chat. Will Z, or anybody that knows, how many made threes did they average last year? My guess is probably around.
What did we look up yesterday? Oh, we looked up
the percentage,
the number. We looked up the number of attempts they took.
But if they're off the top of my head, if they're, this seems like a lot too. I was gonna say if they average 15 threes a night made, I don't know. Because I'm thinking of the record, right? The record was 20, I think 23.
The franchise record.
Yeah. So I'm working from there and going backwards. I don't expect them to be around the franchise record every night, but if they're anywhere between 15 and 17 threes a night on average, that also seems like a lot too. But
they were at 11.4 last season, which was like 25th in the league.
Oh, so we
15.
So we talk about top half of defense, top half of 3-point shooting.
Yeah,
in the league, you could get up to 14 or 15 or somewhere around there.
And if they get there, we got action.
Yeah, that feels like a story, at least in this form, that we haven't really talked about before. We've talked about it in the sense of 3-point shooters, surrounding De'Aaron, surrounding Domantas Sabonis, getting 3-point shooters on the roster. And I think the game the other night provided a look as to what that would look like, at least at its highest level. Like they hit 21, but the game before, almost a full week before, 9:39. Shout out to Olivia, who'll be with us on Thursday. They were 9 of 39 from 3. Again, the good news is obviously that first game against the Lakers, very different type of game there, with the starters only playing minimal minutes on both ends, but they shot poorly from 3 and found a way to win.
Yeah, and win big, right? So, maybe it's the offense in general. Like if this offense, because I think a lot of us, at least me, I'll speak for myself, I didn't realize how bad they were offensively last year. If the offense just overall is a top 10, top 12 defense, offense, the way we feel like they may have the firepower to, that may be a game changer. Because if they're scoring at that clip, that's a good look. And they got I see Will Z came through in the chat and he said they're 35.8% in wide open threes last year, should go way up this year. They were 28th in it last year. Isn't Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk, aren't they like they had some outrageous percentage of wide open catch and shoot shots? I know Malik for sure. I feel like Malik was like 48% in wide open threes last year.
I feel like we did see that number earlier this year. I don't remember what it was at the top of my head. I'm looking at Will Z's notes here. They're 35.8% wide open threes from last year, should be way up. That was 28th in the league last year.
Jesse, you're not paying attention to me. I just did that, read that, said everything.
Yeah, I guess not. I'm sorry. I'm responding to a text about the radio sound, so forgive me
no, I'm just giving you a
for
hard time.
monitoring a couple of different things here.
But no, like that stood out to me too when I read it. Is 28th in the league in wide open threes, and you got to once again. Here's another just don't suck situation. Like if they can get to league like halfway, I'll strive for something a little better. Say you get to 12th in the league on that. It's a game changer.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just attempting to move into the upper half of all of these categories, right? People talk about the offense, they talk about the defense. Now we're bringing like a whole new element into it, talking about 3-point shooting. Okay, you start cracking top 10s in those categories, you're talking about championship contenders. The Kings aren't that. But what did you and Will say? It's 28th?
28th, yeah.
That's the bottom of the league.
Get to 15.
Like, that's the very bottom of the league. Like, just get out of there. Hell, be Jimmy Garoppolo. You can't be 15th, be 15th, 16th, 17th. Be somewhere around there.
Right.
And, that helps.
Yeah.
In all of these different categories. But 3-point shooting, like if it's consistent, and I think that's the ultimate key when you talk about X factors are consistent. What can they do consistently? What would you be more willing to buy into today? Consistency on the defensive end or consistency, let's say, middle of the league, 15 rankings, middle of the league rankings for 3-point shooting or defense?
That's a good question.
What would you be more willing to?
Really good question. My first instinct is to say shooting, because I just think they have those type of shooters around them this year. But I think I'll say defense, because I do think that that's going to be the calling card of Mike Brown and what he stresses to this team a lot. I do think they'll be committed to at least staying focused on the defensive end. And I think those two things combined is going to make that a little more consistent than the way they shoot. I know they've got better shooters with Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, Keegan Murray. But to be consistent shooting, we'll have to see some improvement from De'Aaron Fox on that, improvement from Davion Mitchell. We're going to have to see what they get from the 3 spot off the bench, whether that's KZ or, if they go big, whatever the case may be. I know Harrison Barnes shoots the ball really well percentage-wise, but is he going to actually take the shots, from the 3-point line? So I guess I feel there's probably more question marks with the shooting aspect than there is their commitment to what they're going to do on the defensive end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. But the commitment could be there and the execution not be, couldn't it?
It could. I find it hard for that to happen.
Okay.
I find it hard to that because
I believe this is the Kenny Caraway philosophy of just giving it in.
If you just care,
yeah,
like you, I think they'll be better. I think they'll be better defensively, because I feel like a lot of the stuff last year, while coaching and scheme and everything is going to help them out, a lot of it was guys that just mentally checked out, just didn't really care. To your point, the lack of accountability. Like I don't need to step it up on the defensive end, because what's going to happen? I'm going to get benched? No. I'm going to still be out here playing to get my shot. So what's the incentive outside of personal pride to get better? I think that's out the window. I think they're going to be locked in on being locked in on the defensive end. And I think that's going to help.